So maybe that's the difference. Maybe that's the disconnect here. Kendrick is kind of talking less about the numbers because it's not really an avenue of attack he can go for if he wanted to. It seems like he's more talking about like cultural impact, which money can't necessarily buy. And I am on the side of the fence that believes that's more important than like billboard placements. You know, cultural impact is kind of a lot more important and longer lasting, frankly, than just making a lot of money. And Kendrick definitely has that. Drake does too, don't get me wrong. It's just a different kind of cultural impact because Drake is a pop rapper, right? Like he's for the club. Whereas Kendrick has a bit more to say about his own community, the broader hip hop and rap ecosystem. He's got like politics he gives a shit about as well, activism. Like he's got the makings of having a longer lasting impression on history than Drake does because Drake just has a name rec. He has the I made a lot of money making music and my music's popular. Whereas Kendrick would be like, I am commanding the minds of a generation. And in my view, telling them some good shit. I drink propane, same. Glad to see there's like-minded people in the chat. I drink propane. Damn it, Bobby. That boy ain't right. Do I look like I know what a JPEG is? I'm just trying to boof some goddamn propane. Have you been following the Drake J. Cole K-Dot memes? Yeah. Been interesting to see. Caroline! Oh, Gasoline Dreams, speaking of. Speaking of drinking gasoline, J. Cole dropped the ball hard. Is anybody shocked? I'm not. Kinda? When the fuck has Cole ever come off as somebody who would do well in a rap beef? No disrespect, but that's just not his lane. That's never the way he's presented himself either. Like the whole point of Cole's like aesthetic and interest to people is the fact that he's a conscious rapper, you know? And that's kind of how he markets himself too. You don't expect conscious rappers to be good with beef and like taking shots. Like it's not a thing. You expect that from, like, frankly, you don't even expect that from Kendrick, because Kendrick's also a conscious rapper. He's just got seemingly a wider range of, you know, tools in his arsenal when it comes to different styles he can do. Because he's like first and foremost a fucking musician and artist, not just a rapper. Not to say J. Cole isn't either, but like Kendrick's got more gas in the tank, and he's proved it, right? But like, you usually expect the best people for rap beefs to be like people who are doing like drill rap type shit and like trap shit, you know what I mean? Not, I'm a lyrical spiritual miracle, I've been reading the Torah and I'm thinking your mother's a horror, you know? Like it's just not, mashallah, it's like, it's not the same, man. Can I listen to Taku on stream without getting fucking VOD muted? I'll say J. Cole is not an artist, you're insane, Annie. Bait used to be believable. Guess I just haven't seen someone apologize like that. Yo, no, that was an L. Like, if he was gonna apologize like that and kind of, like, bow out, he just shouldn't have gone in. You know what I mean? Like, it was a misstep. It was a strategic blunder. Sometimes a tactical retreat, as Joseph Joestar has expertly shown us, is the way to go. I've been a J. Cole hater for, like, a decade, and I'm feeling very vindicated this week. Oh, I could tell. I've been a J. Cole ignorer. Like, I've never really listened to much of his music, because what I have heard, it's been whatever. Like, I'm Team Kendrick when all this shit started happening, because I like Kendrick Lamar. And I'm not as familiar with, like, Cole's broader body of work as I am with Kendrick. And Drake is, like, not even a topic of conversation, as evidently seen as it's been. Like, he's been quiet. And he knows that he's just, like Drake is just lucky to be there in the conversation that's being had right now. You know, like he's just brought up for like SEO. You know what I mean? In the initial Kendrick bar, like he was just there to get the clicks. He's not really part of that conversation. J. Cole is like if Drake decided to make surface level lyrical music. That's a take. I don't know enough. I've always had more respect for J. Cole than Drake though, just in a general sense, because Drake is like a pop rapper. Whereas Cole is like, at least, you know, trying to be more conscious rapper. And I'll always, you know, respect somebody trying to like deliver a message rather than just making music a bit more for that reason. Not that one kind of music is inherently better than the other or whatever. I just have a specific interest in people who are trying to do that as compared to somebody like Drake, who's just making, you know, music because he wants to make music. Music for parties, music for whatever, you know, pop rap shit. No disrespect. It's just, you know, I have a specific interest in lyricism and like activism, which is why Kendrick is really good. But like that's my big problem with this whole conversation is that I don't have enough of an understanding of Cole's broader body of work. So, like, I can't say too much other than surface level shit. Because, like, I've listened to nearly every Kendrick project, and I've talked about it a fair amount. But, like, I'm not trying to ride either, you know? You know what I mean? I'm trying to be a bit more objective than that. I'm convinced there are no J. Cole fans. Man, you really have an axe to grind against this guy. What did he do to you? Drake is like Kanye to me. I flat out never understood what they brought to the table. Holy shit, there's some hot takes in the chat. Listen, Kanye is a piece of shit anti-Semite, right? Literal lunatic. But his earlier body of work has been really formative to the broader hip-hop scene. Like, people forget. And that's why, you know, he's able to weather the storm of being like a fucking Hitlerite, anti-Semitic Nazi, and still, like, be somewhat relevant in the music scene. Not just because he has a shitload of money, more money than God, but also because he has that legacy. Like, people are interpreting this Cole Kendrick shit like Biggie and Tupac. Now, I wasn't paying attention back then because I was a youth. I was a child. But, like, rap beef just doesn't work like that anymore, it would seem. And there's probably a variety of reasons for that. One of the main ones I could think of is that there are just so many more rappers now because you don't need to get on the radio to be a big name anymore. You're on the internet, you're on streaming services, etc., etc. There's a lot more saturation in the scene, and there's a lot more ways for independent artists to kind of come up, or at least like, or underground artists to like survive, you know? So there's not like major players necessarily in the scene in the same way that there used to be with like Pac, Biggie, etc., etc. Because back then, those were the guys, and they were the guys mostly because all the underground people that weren't as popular just weren't getting played on the radio as much. You know, people weren't spinning their records as often. And at that point, it was a bit less meritocratic, it would seem. Not to say that it's like perfectly meritocratic now, but like it's just a different ecosystem now. And because of that, like rap beef back then and even now, it seems like back then it was actually like more real and motherfuckers were killing each other. But it was also in many ways a publicity thing because people love conflict, people love drama. Everybody's a messy bitch, they're just too afraid to admit it. Like, we're all a messy bitch, I'm just the first to admit it, you know? And nowadays that does still happen, and frankly, it could be happening right now as we're talking about it. But it's just not the same, and you can kind of see that. I've just never been impressed with Kanye as a rapper, so he's someone I just haven't ever respected. Well, yeah, it's because he's a rapper, sure, but he's on the poppier side of rap, if that makes sense. Like, I think one of his biggest accomplishments is the fact that he's also a producer, and he produces the beats that he raps over and whatnot, and produces for other people. The fact that, like, his production and his unique qualities because of the fact that he was producing his own music, rather than working with producers like a lot of rappers would do, generally speaking, because they're just the vocal talent, and they need, like, an engineer behind them to make the shit happen. To be able to do it on your own gives you a lot more creative freedom, and that's what I think how, you know, Kanye kind of carved out that space for himself and came up through it. In that way, Kanye is also less unique now, because that's how a lot of people are doing it. For one, there are more producers out there, because it's a lot easier to get access to, like, a legally obtained copy of FL Studio, or Ableton, or Reason, or whatever, fucking GarageBand, you know? It's a lot easier to get access to these things and just make beats, and then give them out for free, like, free for use with credit on YouTube type beat shit, or, like, sell them to people. And it's also a lot easier then for those people to just, instead of, like, trying to find vocal talent to put on the beats that they're making, just do it themselves. Right? And that's what a lot of people are doing. Like, that's what JPEG Mafia does, for instance. And you could say what you want about his recent, you know, work with Kanye, and I'm not a big fan of that. But I've always respected him for the fact that he produces the beats that he makes. And he has a pretty wide range of sound at his disposal. He doesn't just do the same thing, he often experiments. Now, hopefully he stops riding Kanye a little bit. I haven't really paid as much attention to that. I know he was, like, apologizing on Twitter. Not for that, don't take my words as gospel. But he was, like, sorry for acting out earlier or some shit like that. I don't fucking know, something like that. Probably because he's getting a lot of shit, rightfully so, for working with Kanye. Even though, like, it's always been one of his dreams. Like, I can understand what might be going on in his head. I just can't know it. But, like, I've always respected that from him. And I respect that from any rapper, any producer. Because I am a producer before everything else. I have an interest in music from the lens of a producer of music production. And when it comes to music that I would make, that's also what I'm most interested in. I really enjoy lyricism. I've written rhymes before in the past. I've never put out music, but, like, I've done poetry and shit. Like, I have a big interest in rhetoric and talking and wordplay and whatnot. But the beat has always been the most interesting. Like, right now, I'm listening to Taku's 50 Days for Dilla, which is a 50-track project of instrumentals that are in tribute to J Dilla. Like, I'm that's just the way that I interpret the music. Anyway. Weird question, but do you think Tupac was gay? He was probably bisexual, to be quite honest with you. The only reason I say that is because he was a leftist. And that just increases the probabilistic odds that he may not have been straight fully. But I can't say. I don't fucking know. But that's always, like, once again, that's always why I'll always be Pac before Biggie. I think Biggie's music has stood the test of time more because he was making more party music, and it's just easier for that shit to keep going through time and for people to listen to it because you're listening to Biggie's music first and foremost for the vibe, and then secondarily for what the fuck he's talking about. And that's all well and good. There's no disrespect. There's no hate. We need all types when it comes to music that we're making. But Pac was like an activist. He had shit to talk about on a deeper level, and that's always why I preferred him. That's always why I thought he was better than Biggie in that way. Because his music is still good, and like, he's got some party tracks and whatnot out there. But like he's quite literally like anti-capitalist, like radically pro-black liberation. Like, and I find that to be quite cool, actually. You know, relatives were Black Panthers of the original Black Panther Party. A lot of good shit, and the music was good. But I will admit that it hasn't stood the test of time as much. Like you could bang Biggie a lot, phrasing. You can listen to Biggie's music in the modern day a lot easier to like a normie crowd than you can Pac. There's a wider selection to choose from if you're the disc jockey at an establishment. I watched this video by Queen Latifah where she met him at a gay bar. Someone mentioned that back in the day, if you were gay and black, you were basically canceled, so public figures had to keep it to themselves or suffer the consequences. Interesting. Which only lends more credence to the headcanon that I have that if Pac was still alive today, he'd be a radical queer liberationist as well. And it would make sense, too, given what I understand about his worldview and his ideology, because any intersectional feminist will understand that we're not free unless we're all free. Feel me? So, like, even, like, you can't, in the way that the powers that be structure their power, they're trying to pit literally every minority group against each other so that people don't look up at the people who have all the money, the capital owners, the CEOs, and the politicians that they buy that are actually controlling the things that make your life worse, and they want you to fight with your neighbor instead. So, like, it's not possible to liberate women and feminine people from the shackles of patriarchy and misogyny unless we also liberate black people from the shackles of racism, brown people from the shackles of racism, and all the intersections there within. And you cannot have that without the liberation of queer people. Because, like I've always said in the right-wing civil rights ladder dilemma that I be talking about all the goddamn time, the right wing will always use the most easy target to attack when it comes to minority groups that cannot defend themselves. They will always use that group and use the precedent set by oppression that's often legislated against them or even culturally weaponized against them in order to try to chip away at progress made for the liberation of other marginalized groups like religious minorities, like Jewish people, Muslim people, etc., or black and brown people. They will always do, and that's what they're literally doing now. They are weaponizing because trans people are the easiest target to attack. You know, I'm detecting hints of a trans fella. Trans people are the easiest people to attack. You do not get as much shit in the public eye. You don't get as much scrutiny for doing so because they are the minority group that it's okay to attack in the current, you know, social zeitgeist. Like if you were to say the shit that people are saying against trans people, against black people, you're going to get a little bit more shit for it. And rightfully so, but like, I think they should get equal amounts of shit because, spoiler alert, black queer people exist. And they're often at worse odds for living a good life and are facing more oppression than white queer people because of the intersectionality of bigotry. So I don't know. I feel like Pac would understand that. That's all. Oh, I was saying, that's right. So like they're currently attacking trans people and they're attaching anti-women aspects of that onto those attacks against trans people. And they're using the attacks on trans people as precedent to go after, you know, women and people with the capacity to give birth bodily autonomy when it comes to being anti-abortion and attacking those rights. You see this happen all the goddamn time. People who are anti-abortion because they want to control women are often anti-queer because they want to control all people broadly, not just women. And they will utilize the anti-trans shit if they find it to be politically efficacious, which it currently is for them in some ways, not all, in order to further their aims at chipping away at the progress that women have made for defending their own goddamn rights. And the same thing happens with other minority groups. A lot of anti-black rhetoric is recycled into anti-queer talk, yeah. It's all connected. Just the same way that your feminism, your progressivism should be intersectional, bigotry is also intersectional. That's why you have to be intersectional with your progressive, ideology and activism. Because otherwise you're not fighting on the same battlefield. You're handicapping yourself. to have a single focus and like even disregard the rights or like kick down or pull the ladder up behind you for minority groups that you aren't a part of. It doesn't affect you. Like you're not playing with a full deck of cards at that point, and you're gonna lose. History has taught us, because right-wingers aren't fighting a single issue fight. They're attacking everybody. They're attacking black and brown people. They're attacking queer people. They're attacking religious minorities like Jewish people, Muslim people, etc., etc. They're attacking immigrants of any kind, but often the brown and black ones. They're attacking poor people as well. Doesn't matter if you're queer, white, black, brown, purple, or yellow. Doesn't fucking matter, because if you're poor, they don't like you either. Clearly, that's why they advocate against a minimum wage increase. That's why they advocate to abolish Social Security so your fucking grandma has to work until she goddamn dies. They want to control everybody, so you need everybody to fight back against it. Anyway. And I think Kendrick understands this as well, because you have songs like Anti-Diaries that I like to think I was a big part of fighting back against the dumbass progressive liberals out there who were like, oh my god, he said the F slur in the song, so it's so bad, he's a homophobe. It's like, no, dumbass, if you actually listen to the goddamn song, it's about learning that that shit is not good. And to censor it doesn't really make the same effect happen. But you can see my video on that. I like to think that my Twitter post that I stayed up all night to fucking write when I saw people in a lot of dumb takes that were like misunderstanding the whole point of the song, which is actually coming around to accepting his queer and trans family members. Like the whole point was that he used to be a piece of shit, but he's unlearned it, and he's helping you kind of unlearn that. And he's giving you a mirror to look at if you have been anti-queer in the past, to try to be like, oh shit, I've been wrong in these ways that Kendrick is describing that he was wrong. Maybe I should address that and be a better person. Like my goat Kendrick has been, you know? I like to think that that tweet did a fair amount. I mean, I was interviewed by fucking Turf Island newspaper for it, which was cool. Through text, anyway. That was neat. Yeah, this tweet. Like, I went through the whole ass thing. And I ended it with intersectionality being the most important thing you gotta take from this. Kendrick's views on these issues seem to be informed in a big way by the fact that he has LGBTQIA+ family members. This is often a powerful way for people to learn about how the oppression of people whose identities they don't share affect those people. This is why the current war on women, Roe v. Wade, LGBTQIA+, Don't Say Gay, etc., and black and brown people's CRT, now DEI, oh shit, I'm not showing you, my bad. Now DEI, being waged by conservative centers around education. The right wants to stop people from being able to have experiences like Kendrick had. This stops people knowing they're oppressed and stops allies from standing with them. Intersectional leftism is the only way to liberate us all. Only solidarity between all marginalized people and allies is strong enough to break the tyranny of the minority, patriarchal white supremacy. I've looked over these lyrics countless times, and it's very clear that everything in the song is deliberate. It's an in-your-face retelling of the events that led a previously ignorant Kendrick Lamar to become understanding of LGBTQIA+ people and provoked him to fight for them. It's valid to be confronted with the problematic elements of this narrative and react with pain. That's literally what the story is describing. How the pain of all oppressed peoples is connected, and how the ignorance passed down through generations has us harming each other. I hope this long effort post has helped anybody who had legitimate concerns about the content of the song. Kendrick Lamar using his platform in the current climate to advocate for the liberation of trans people is powerful. He didn't have to, but out of love, he did. Be well. I stand by this, obviously, and shit's good. Anyway, yeah, Hip Hop DX also played one of my clips from my video on Anti-Diaries. The one where the thumbnail says Anti-Diaries Explained, or whatever. They also played a clip from that, which was cool. Because I remember watching Hip Hop DX when I was a lot younger, before I started making content. It was, I forget the name of the dude. He ended up making his own shit. But he would talk about, like, news in the hip-hop field. He was with Hip Hop DX. There was a certain name for the show he did. I forget, though. Whatever. Anyway, so those are my thoughts. So yeah, Cole coming out and apologizing, like, he just shouldn't have... If he was gonna back off, he shouldn't have backed on. You know what I mean? Like, it was a mistake. It was a strategic blunder. And, you know, he paid the consequences for it, I guess. In terms of optics, if nothing else. And the whole gambit has worked out incredibly well for Kendrick, right? Which is, I imagine, the whole point. In that the conversation, like, Drake isn't even present in it when it comes to the big three of Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole, and motherfucking, I almost said Eminem, Drake. Like, Drake is not even present in the conversation. People are laughing at the fact that he's being named in there. So he's already out. Then you got Cole and Kendrick. So then Cole comes out with a sorry-ass fucking diss track that is, like, almost universally ridiculed, except for, like, his tier 4 sub dick riders who are doing tricks on his shit, talking about To Pimp a Butterfly is boring or some crazy shit like that. And then now Cole has literally apologized and refuted a lot of what the Cole fans were saying the entirety of the time between that diss track coming out and to the apology being made. So now it's just Kendrick. He's standing alone, and he barely had to do shit. Which is to say that he knows what the fuck he's doing. And he's doing it well. Anyway. I forgot that tweet blew up. Yeah, it was pretty good. I'm happy that it did too, because there was a lot of dumb shit I was seeing from people. A lot of liberals that are mad at aesthetics for the fact that he's saying the F slur while talking about how it's bad. Because, like, censoring it would not have had the same effect. Like, first of all, it wouldn't sound good if you said F slur, F slur, F slur. We didn't know no better. Like, that's not gonna work. But secondarily, the fact that you feel a type of way by hearing it is the point. Because he's describing how when he was saying it so flippantly, there were people who felt a certain way about it, like you do. His family members, who happened to be queer, and he learned that it was bad given that. And he grew out of it, and now he's making a song helping other people to learn and grow out of it. You know what I mean? Kendrick's got Conqueror's hockey, that's true. He'll get the One Piece, I believe. When it comes to things we're doing today on stream, I don't necessarily need to have a segment, because I have one. It's going to be the Kendrick Lamar J. Cole segment we had. That said, there might be, apparently Drake responded in some way. I thought it was leaked. I thought, like, I saw, like, DJ Academics leaked it or some shit. A junk vape? Oh, shit. We're about to get fucking lit. This thing. There's still some shit in here. Still a lot. This is a CBD vape I got a long-ass time ago. Because I was curious. Holy shit, it's fucking with my camera. Because I was curious about how CBD would be. Not a big fan. But yeah. Was that a topic covered? Well, I talked about it one of the previous streams. But apparently Drake responded in some way. And it was leaked. Now, it might be on Twitter. And if that's the case, then we will never see it. Because Twitter is borked on desktop. This is the Drake response. It's on the YouTubulars. Thank you, Read and Rap. Drake is a bitch? That's usually the case. Drake is a pop rapper. He, like, often tries to escape that vibe, but it's hard to not think of Drake as a pop rapper, because one, he is, and for two, he's not as, like, what's the word? Well, he's not making super conscious rap. Like, so the two styles of rap that are generally going to be involved in any kind of beef that's worth paying attention to are going to be drill / trap / gangster rap shit. And funnily enough, to a lesser degree, conscious rappers, evidently. Because you can classify Kendrick Lamar as a conscious rapper, but he's kind of like an all-rounder. You know, if you were to pick him in the GameCube Mario baseball, he'd be an all-rounder. Because he's capable of a lot of different styles of rap, and not just rap, but hip-hop, and not just hip-hop, but a variety of other genres of music. But he also can fall within the conscious rap flavor because he is very lyrical. He talks about shit he cares about, especially on To Pimp a Butterfly and Mr. Morale. A lot of, like, advocacy for things and a lot of very serious topics being covered. And within that, if you're talking about, like, serious issues, and if you're, like, a lyrical, spiritual, miracle individual, it's often going to be the case that, like, you'll have something to say. It's just a matter of how it gets conveyed, it would seem. Because the easiest way to, like, have a diss that, like, works well with the audience and is interesting to people and actually feels like it holds a little bit of water is if, like, you're a pretty, like, aggro rapper where, like, you're usually talking about shit like that. And it's like, okay, well, now I'm going to talk about you like that. How we're going to, you know, pull up, pop the trunk, pull up, pop out, you're bitchy on my dick. Whoa, you know? That kind of shit. And obviously that makes sense because this is what we're talking about. But the problem with, like, Drake and J. Cole is, like, when are they talking about, like, doing anything that makes it feel like any threats that they were to give would actually mean anything? You know what I mean? Like, when is that happening? It's not very often. Like, Drake is usually crying about bitches that he's lost or other bullshit like that. His music has, for a long time, either been for the club or for women, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that, but that's just kind of the way it is. That's how he's gotten his status, by making danceable music and by making music that women usually identify a lot with for a variety of reasons. Like, that kind of, like, background, and also, like, being the dude from Degrassi or whatever, and being Canadian, frankly, which is a big L, it just doesn't lend itself to, like, you being taken seriously. And I don't think he ever has when it comes to rap beefs and shit like that. And it's not even to mention what we talked about the last time we talked about this on stream, where rap beef kind of seems to be dying out anyway. there's less of a fight for like top spots nowadays because the market is way more saturated than it used to be. Back in the day, just to reiterate a little bit, like you had to be put on radio and whatnot, and like you needed distributors to like push your shit out there. And because of that, there weren't as many big rappers, and the rappers that could get big, the labels were a lot more selective about who they wanted at any given time. Now, because of the proliferation of independent artists given streaming services and being able to independently put your own music up and have it pop off without needing like an A&R guy, without needing any labels or nothing like that, you will end up having a lot more competition in terms of saturation, but a lot less direct competition in terms of being able to get your shit out there. Because like there are avenues that didn't used to exist, if that makes sense. So because of that, it's not as much of a fight when you're near the top as it used to be, like between Biggie and Pac or whatever, you know? That's my theory. This is not like I'm not a fucking hip hop historian or anything, but that's my theory, and I mean, it seems to make sense to me. In an interview a while back, he says he wish he could do conscious rap, but he can't because of the lane he's in. He said that's why he respects Kendrick and Cole. He makes bigger numbers than them, but he wishes he could get that widespread respect from the culture. Got the popularity, but not necessarily the respect from the culture of people who matter in the hip-hop sphere. Yeah, and I can imagine that being a big problem. There's been a variety of times where Drake has tried to make music that would appeal less to his core demographic, and music that's more like aggressive and like talking about a bunch of shit that he might not normally be talking about. The problem is that shit coming from him, like bro was on Degrassi and he grew up in Canada, the mean streets of Canada. You know, like there's not as much street cred, for lack of a better term, as far as I can see, for Drake that would give him any kind of in, which is like, and we see that you don't even need that anymore. Like it used to be the case that like you were talking about like hood shit, for lack of a better term, because that's literally what your life was. Like, that was your lived experience. You're just relaying that information through your music and, using that to further whatever end, be it education for people to know, like, what it's like, or for, do you just want to make music that people like and you want to make a living, blah, 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 blah. A lot of people are doing it to try to escape the conditions that they're rapping about, right? I don't know much about Drake's background vis-a-vis that shit, but nowadays you don't even need that stuff. Like, it is a point of some people that they did not grow up like that in any kind of like rough spot, but they rap about it as if they did. And like it's even a joke, like there's white boys out there that clearly don't live that life, that are pretending to and making like drill music because of the juxtaposition being funny, or because they wish they were black, frankly, which is also funny. And they can do fairly well given that juxtaposition being funny. But like Drake is not from that era. Drake's from a different era of music. That's where he came up from, and that's where a lot of his background and a lot of what people think of him is going to come from. As a Torontonian, the problem isn't that he's from Canada, but that he's from Forest Hills. He's literally a rich boy. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. He was on Degrassi. Like, I don't... Drake is a pop star who's always had the support of the industry as a brand. He can't act hard because he's not hard. Yeah, it makes sense. The origin of the convo, Great ADHD, was Kendrick Lamar put out like a verse or two, a bar or two about how there wasn't a big three, it was just him. The big three in this conversation being Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole, and Drake. And they were all name dropped by Kendrick. And then J. Cole responded after that in a really weak way that got like almost universally ridiculed, and then apologized for it, which further solidified Kendrick being in his own lane, because like the gambit that he put up, like fielding that diss worked. Like it made J. Cole look foolish, and then people take him less seriously, so then maybe Kendrick is the only one on top there. And then now that all that's left from that point in the timeline was Drake's response. And apparently there's now been a leak of Drake's response, and I haven't seen it, heard it yet, so we'll see. We'll see how that goes when we actually listen to it. If this is in the YouTube video, it's unlikely I'll be able to play that audio, but we'll link to it if it's still up. It could be taken down because evidently it's a leak. I know Academics apparently leaked it on his stream or some of it, but I don't know, whatever. And yeah, so now we'll see. Because my theory was the best play would probably have been for Drake to just not do anything, because Cole already like embarrassed himself and became like the lol cow of the beef. Kendrick is obviously clearing Drake every time. Like, it's not even really a contest, because Kendrick has not only solidified his ability to, like, be a conscious rapper, but he's also solidified his ability to be, like, a pop rapper or making, like, club music. Like, he's very obviously capable of that, and he usually drops a couple of those on an album because it's just good practice, because you want to get a club banger on your album so that the full album gets more exposure from that, right? I thought that Drake not doing anything was better because like all the ire gets put on J. Cole then for being a clown, and Drake doesn't need to engage with any of it. Now, if this was like a leak or whatever, then that can go many ways. It could be intentional to be like, oh, well, I didn't want to put this out. That shit was leaked. It wasn't on me. Blah, 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 blah. And if like it's not taken well, you could be like, oh, well, it was a leak. I didn't put it out officially. We weren't done with it yet. Blah, 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 blah. Or like it could do well, which I don't find likely. Because Kendrick Lamar is essential, in my view anyway, and I'm not trying to like ride too hard. Because like I've listened to, the only person in this conversation I haven't heard a lot of the music of is J. Cole. I'm aware of J. Cole's music and what generally the vibe is, but like I've heard more of Drake and Kendrick's music. And I prefer Kendrick for a variety of reasons, which I've talked about. Claim it was an AI deepfake, also possible. Like it's not outside of the realm of possibility, but I think we can kind of tell what's AI and what's not nowadays. I don't know how good of a response that would be, but but anyway, essentially Kendrick can do what Drake does and more. So, like, it's going to be hard to beat that, especially considering this beef is not, like, if I see you on the street type shit. It's more like we're talking about, like, meta industry bullshit. You know what I mean? Which is not as easy to engage with and, like, come out in a good way on. Like, if it was, like, if I see you on the street shit and, like, some shit actually popped off, that would be different. I don't know that Drake would be capable of that, but I'm sure he's got shooters with him, if nothing else. But, like, you wouldn't want it to get to that point anyway, obviously. But, like, you can do shit outside of, what I mean to say is, like, you could do shit outside of, like, your artistry and your skill as a rapper and as a musician to get an edge in, like, the battle, I guess. Because I don't see Drake being able to do it through artistry alone. But I don't expect him to do the other either, nor would I want him to, right? And that's not even what this shit is. Like, this is, like I say, it's more meta industry shit. Yeah, Pusha T's response to Drake was very good and very funny. And the fact that Drake would even consider responding to a diss after that, I mean, maybe Pusha T got, like, the most of the content out of that, and maybe Kendrick could have difficulty in so far as, like, trying to find more shit to bring up so you just don't look like you're doing Pusha T's shit again. But I wouldn't be surprised if Kendrick didn't already have a locked and loaded response. Like, bro's probably got, like, several folders on the desktop. He's got, like, memes if nobody responds to my diss, memes if J. Cole responds, memes if Drake responds, right? He's probably got these folders lined up just in case. So, like, I would not expect you would have to wait very long for a Kendrick response in any capacity. Like, has Kendrick said shit about the Cole response, by the way? I don't know that he needs to. Like, I feel like it would be a misstep for him to have responded to the Cole track, because Cole already fucking cucked himself and apologized and, like, essentially groveled at Kendrick's feet to stop hitting him. So, like, I don't think Kendrick has to do anything. Like, he's already kind of won that one. So now it's just on to what Drake is up to. Who do you think will be the next big 3 or 4 of the next generation? I know Cardi or Yeet will definitely be that guy for one of the trap slots. For the lyrical slot, I think it's Jid or Denzel. I don't know about the other slots. I have no fucking idea. The problem is I don't follow a lot of the new shit that's coming out. Like, I get around to hearing the new shit eventually, but, like, I haven't paid attention to anything, like, and no disrespect, but it's just not, like, the music I'm listening to nowadays. I haven't heard a lot of what Jid's been putting out recently. I have, however, heard what Denzel's been putting out. I literally just switched it out, but, like, last stream, we had the Denzel Curry Melt My Eyes, See Your Future vinyl in the background. I was a big fan of that project. I've been a big fan of Denzel's projects previous to that. Like, I just don't follow a lot of new releases for, like, everybody. I only follow them for, like, specific ones. So I listened to that new Yeet project, which is the first one I've ever listened to a fair amount of, and it was okay. Like, I can vibe with it. I get the vibe. It's not, like, my favorite, but yeah, I can't really speak to that because I'm kind of out of the loop recently. The Drake diss is kind of crazy, though. I heard it earlier today, and he takes many shots. Well, I guess we'll listen to it. I'm sure Drake's will sonically be pretty decent, but lyrically it's not even close. We all know Kendrick is better. Yeah, no, you're fighting. It's like a David and Goliath situation. But I don't know that it'll play out the way that Fable does. I think the mysteriousness of Kendrick also makes it fuck with your brain as a rapper. Like, you can't really put a finger on him creatively, which adds to the difficulty of going against him. Yeah, and I don't know if there's, like, that much, like, negative PR shit you could dig up on Kendrick as well. Like, he's kind of vibing. It's not like Drake, who's, like, creepy around women or nothing like that. Or, like, the blackface shit. Like, there's a lot of shit you could say about Drake. I don't know what the fuck you're saying about Kendrick, where, like, it actually, like, cuts, you know? But I guess let's find out. Apparently, I was linked to this from Ty Valone, which is a rando, I assume, posting the leak, drop and give me 50 from Drake. Kendrick diss. It's 4 minutes 21. Who the fuck has time for all that? But I guess we'll figure it out. Well, he's starting it like a YouTuber apology with a big sigh, with a big exhale. So I'm just waiting for the ukulele. So I'm assuming that's a joke about how Kendrick is kind of short because he's 5'7", he's messy. But I feel like he's kind of like Kendrick's already kind of gotten around that by dropping fucking, what is the name? Was it Hillbillies? Motherfucking, it had to have been Hillbillies, right? Like, am I insane? Who the fuck is Hobson, bro? Yeah, Hillbillies with Baby Keem. 5'7" on Messi. Like, I feel like he kind of got around the you're short lol digs by dropping an absolute fucking banger that is the Hillbillies and being like 5'7" on Messi, huh? Like, it's good. It's a good track, and he's owning the fact that, like, just because he's short, like, so's Messi, but he's fucking universally wanted by women everywhere. And Kendrick's, like, a good-looking guy, so. Now, Hobson's corny as fuck. When I said who, I meant that rhetorically. Your last one bricked, like Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers? Is it like box office? How do you find out how much it moved? Like, I don't really care because it was a good album. But like if we're going by numbers, which we probably are, because that's what Drake has, is numbers on Kendrick, and that's really it. Album was supported by 3 singles and 95 Silent Hill and Die Hard, all of which started with the top 10 on US Billboard Hot 100. How long they stayed there is a different story. I mean, it's pretty good on reviews, but obviously it will be. It's a Kendrick project. Even if it was one of his weaker albums, which I don't necessarily agree with, but I mean, it's a stacked list. I wouldn't put it above To Pimp a Butterfly. 1,063,000 album equivalent units, which is the new metric that includes streams in the calculation. I know it didn't do as well as his prior albums, but I think Kendrick actually predicted that. And it's not surprising to me either. But I mean, it's moving. It's won some awards. It's a good album. It's a good ass album. But yeah, I don't know. I guess like in terms of numbers, it did, but like I feel like it. I don't know. I don't know. I don't have a whole lot I can really say outside of that because it's just numbers we're talking about. I mean, it was streamed over 1 billion times. That's far from bricked. I don't fucking know. The way you're doing splits, bitch, your pants might rip. SpongeBob ass bars. Okay, dude. It's just hard to take him seriously, man. It's just funny. Okay, wait. Pipsqueak. Got him. Another short dig. Very, very creative. Savage? Wait, how much is 21 Savage doing? This is a genuine question. I have not paid attention to 21 Savage in a long time. Like, literally since, like, Bank Account and his Double XL freshman cypher with Yachty and Denzel and Lil Uzi. Like, well, what's 21 Savage been up to lately? I don't know. Maybe he is, like, popping off. I don't fucking know. There's no disrespect. Like, it's just I'm not paying attention. A lot of you're short on this one. 21 worked with him on his last project and is probably getting dragged in because he's part of the crew. Wait, when Drake's project? I feel like the last time he was talked about was like 7 years ago. Well, he did have that thing where he was... Didn't Trump get him out of a jam because he's actually from the UK, bruv? And there was some shit popping off? 21 Savage may be deported because of Donald Trump. What the fuck? Oh no, it was the other way around. Because I know Trump brought back somebody, or like got him out of jail in like a desperate attempt to get black people to vote for him. For some reason, A$AP Rocky jumps to my mind because of the "we slipping on semen" meme. Who was it? Trump rapper. Well, that's not gonna help. Pardon? I don't even fucking know. Anyway, listen, this is very important. He got Kodak Blackout and tweeted about A$AP Rocky.
One nigga got that nigga up out of there. Thank God. Yeah, I had to fight some nigga in the bathroom. No homo. We slipping on semen. Nigga was jerking off in the
Wow,
bathroom,
yeah,
nigga.
yeah.
Me, I got that nigga up out of there, all that shit. You know, this is parts of the story that I don't like to. One nigga got that nigga up out of there.
spoke
Thank
about
God.
that too.
Yeah, I had to fight some nigga in the bathroom. No homo. We
said you
slipping
got
on
it rocking.
semen.
We slipping on semen. God damn. It's such a good clip. ASAP Rocky is a pretty motherfucker. That is true. Young Thug and Trump had the same RICO lawyer, I think. Feels bad for Young Thug then. Anyway. Wait, is he talking shit on Metro Boomin? Is that what that was? I don't know the ins and outs of all this shit. Like, I'm autistic, but I'm not autistic for rap beef. Is it just me, or does this sound a bit like AI? Well, it's Drake, so it's hard to say. He doesn't like Metro? Well, yeah, he literally said, shut up and, get back to work. People have been debating if this is AI all day. Well, I mean, it could be. The thing is that this was a leak, so this is probably not the final production. The vocals are not mixed very well. Like, the whole thing is not mixed very well. So obviously this was a leak. This wasn't going to be the finished product that was put out. And if it was, then that's unfortunate because it sounds like shit. It also could be bad quality because of whatever could happen to the audio file. The fact that it's leaked and it's getting passed around. Another year short. I kind of fucking zoned out. Let's go back a little bit. Oh yeah, he said he's a Chippendale or something, which is kind of cool. Drizzy Chippendale. Little sus. Drake comes out as a male stripper in order to diss Kendrick. Listen, it's the homosexual gambit where he's trying to test Kendrick's LGBTQ acceptance. Because, like, Kendrick comes out with Auntie Diaries, right? And it's like a song about acceptance of trans and queer people and how being homophobic and transphobic is bad. He mentioned Kendrick's wife, Whitney. No, I think he meant Whitney Houston. And then that goes with the bodyguard line. But maybe it's like a double entendre. But, fucking, yeah, it's the big gambit. Like, okay, Kendrick, if you're really LGBTQ friendly, I'm gonna say that I'm a male stripper by saying Drizzy Chippendales. And if you come at me with some homophobic shit, then I got you. I got you locked in this woke world. You've activated my trap card. For, phrasing, but... I just got him done, don't make me have to chip a nail. Like, bro is gay as hell. That might be the first thing I like about this Drake diss. Gay Drake? Bi Drake? People have always suspected. It's definitely not out of the realm of possibility. A little sus. I'm here for it. Yeah, even Drake has gone woke. Yeah, J. Cole just cannot stop taking it, huh? Like, the top 10 greatest misplays of all time. How the fuck are you gonna make Drake look harder than you? That's fucked up. Like, that, if you're in a position where, in a rap beef, you can make Drake look better than you, like, that, you've really lost the plot. Like, you gotta hang it up. Just, like, go back to making the same shit you're always making, because people like it in your fan base, and stay out of the beef. You've already waved the white flag. Like, it's a wrap. You're done. That's fucked up. So now he's saying, I assume, like, this isn't necessarily a response to Kendrick in the beginning by saying it's not starting beef. The pot's been brewing for a while, whatever. But, like, if you're only releasing this after the beef has started, like that, I don't know that really works. You could say, like, oh, yeah, I've had these ideas for this long, but the only reason this is coming out is because you started it. That kind of just says that you didn't have it. Like, you weren't man enough to drop the shit beforehand, and you needed to be provoked in order to do it. Like, if the pot is now boiling over and it's been boiling for this long, like, why did it take the track coming out for you to respond to it? Like, you can't just say that that's not what you're doing. Like, it doesn't make any sense. That is funny, though. I'll give him a +1 for the Cole line. Is it not the case? My memory's bad. Is it not the case that Kendrick's shit, like, it wasn't a diss track, it was just like a bar that was the diss in a broader track when it came to Kendrick? Kind of like the, I guess the Control verse was like not a diss track necessarily, but his entire shit was a diss from way back when. Was the Kendrick shit like that was the point of the song, or was it like that just a comment in it? Anybody remember? The whole thing was a diss? Oh, okay. So I was gonna say, if it wasn't, it was a bar on someone else's song? Okay, but the whole song was like a diss. Like, that was the point, right? Not the whole track? We're getting conflicting opinions. I don't think Control wasn't, every bar in his verse was about Drake and J. Cole. Yeah, but like, if the whole song was, because that's the thing, like, if you're having to respond with like a Kendrick feature where like it's a diss verse, not a track, and then you respond with like a 4-minute, 21-second long song to like a single feature, that's kind of weak. That's what I'm thinking of. But because I don't think the Control verse, that was like, the diss was just Kendrick. The rest of them, like fucking Jay Electronica wasn't dissing anybody except for maybe Jewish people. Like, I don't know, like that whole song was a diss either. It's kind of like another one of those. Future was dissing him too. Well, it's different then if that's the case. Like 6 people have dissed him the past 3 weeks. He's definitely not being weak. Okay. Like, I just don't understand, and this goes both ways. I don't understand people talking about money when, like, you're both millionaire gazillionaires. Like, does, like, an extra couple $100 million really mean something? I guess it does if you're at that point. But, like, to a fucking brokey like me, the difference between someone being, like, 100 millionaire and, like, a 50 millionaire, I don't really see the difference, frankly. Like, I don't care. And I know the gulf is probably bigger than that. Drake net worth. Drake has to be a billionaire, right? How is he not a billionaire? From celebritynetworth.com, the authoritative source. From the authoritative source, we've got Drake at 250 mil and Kendrick at 75 mil. That difference to me does not exist. Like that level, like 250 mil to 75 million, there's no difference there. To me. But I'm fucking broke, so maybe that's why. Maybe that's why I feel that way. Maybe if you get into like rich people's business, then maybe it's different. But I did read and rep, but I didn't listen to the whole thing that intently. The most engagement I've had with this has been me talking about it last stream and now, just because it's fun. I'm not pretending to be like an authoritative source. Do I look like one? I'm just talking shit for fun. But I think what I'm saying is like, it holds water. It's not like I'm not saying anything I don't believe. So he says, this ain't even everything I know, don't wake the demon up. So he's implying that he's got more. The problem is, like, what is the more then? Because all we've heard so far is, like, I got more money than you, I'm more popular than you, and you're short. Which, like, you could hear all of this in middle school from a bully, right? Like, this is not anything crazy. So, like, what else is there? What are you holding back at this point? If you're holding back a lot. Like, did Kendrick Lamar also have, like, a minstrel show photo shoot like you did? Because that would be something. Does Kendrick have, like, a bastard child like you do? I don't know, man. I've known you were short for a long time, buddy. What does he have besides numbers on Kendrick? Well, name rec, too. But I guess that's also kind of numbers, huh? It's me twice in the big 3. That's so. So maybe that's the difference. Maybe that's the disconnect here. Kendrick Lamar isn't necessarily talking about numbers. Because, like, they're both doing okay, but it's clear that Drake is making more money. And has, like, it gets more play. But, like, Kendrick is kind of talking less about the numbers, clearly. Because it's not really an avenue of attack he can go for if he wanted to. It seems like he's more talking about, like, cultural impact, right? Which money can't necessarily buy, you know? And I am on the side of the fence that believes that that's more important than, like, billboard placements and shit. You know, cultural impact is kind of a lot more important and longer lasting, frankly, than just making a lot of money. And Kendrick definitely has that. With Good Kid, Mad City, To Pimp a Butterfly, even Mr. Morale, even though, like, it didn't pop like the other two. Like, he's got the cultural impact. Drake does too, don't get me wrong. It's just a different kind of cultural impact. Because Drake is a pop rapper, right? Like, he's for the clubs. He's for women to get all hot and bothered for. You know what I mean? Whereas Kendrick has a bit more shit to say. about his own community, the broader, black community, the broader hip hop and rap ecosystem. He's got like politics he gives a shit about as well, activism for a variety of marginalized groups. Like, he's got the makings of having a longer lasting impression on history than Drake does, because Drake just has the name rec. He has the, I made a lot of money making music and my music's popular. Whereas Kendrick would be like, I am commanding the minds of a generation. And in my view, telling them some good shit. And it's not just like limited to black people either, because like a lot of the shit he's talking about isn't just exclusive to the black community. Has Kendrick had much bad press? Not really, no. I think the last time I remember Drake getting shit on a little bit is the one time that he's already like owned up to being dumb in Mr. Morale and Auntie Diaries at the end of it, where Kendrick brought up that white girl to sing along to that one track off Good Kid, Mad City. And then she was rapping along and she said the N-word with a soft A. And then he was like, yo, you can't say that. You gotta just omit one word. And it was like a whole thing. He was made fun of for it. And there was a whole conversation about it. But he even owned up to that being lame at the end of Auntie Diaries, where he's talking to his trans aunt, I believe. And she was like, and I can't say it because we live in 1984 woke Orwell Animal Crossing Twitch.tv. But he said, F-slur, 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 we can say it together, but only if you let a white girl say N-word with a soft A. Obviously referencing that. And that's to show that he was being a hypocrite with that. Like, he's not gay, he's not queer, Kendrick Lamar, but he's out there saying the F-slur and shit. Why is that okay? And the only way that could be okay is if you let that white girl say the N-word with a soft A. You know? It makes sense. It's a good message. Like, maybe we shouldn't be using slurs in either direction. You can have a conversation about, like, if you're saying and this is not my conversation to have, I just don't say it. Like, if I'm rapping along, I'll just go, and then keep going. You know what I mean? If the N-word comes up. But, like, you could have a conversation about, like, oh, is it okay if it's in a song or whatever? I don't give a fuck. Because, like, I can't have a take on that. Because, like, I'm white. Be like, Con, you're half Latino. Yeah, but I'm white. But like it's a good ass song, it's a good message, and it's wrapped up in a broader like intersectional political analysis of, civil rights and of like the progression of, acceptance for a variety of marginalized groups, and tying it to the struggles of black people as well, because obviously they're black queer people too. Literally the family members, his cousin and his aunt that he's talking about in the goddamn song is good. And I don't know that Drake has ever done anything like that. And that's not the only Kendrick song you can bring up, because like the entirety of To Pimp a Butterfly, even songs off Damn, like he's got the bigger cultural impact, and that's just a fact when it comes to like moving the culture forward. So like Kendrick will just be remembered in a different way, and in my view, a more important way than Drake will. There's also a thread of calling out materialism throughout the whole album, which contrasts a lot with what Drake raps about. Yeah, and that was a big part of Mr. Morale too. Like that was a N95. Take that shit off, Kendrick shouldn't can make hits when he wants to, like Humble and Swimming Pools. He doesn't care about mainstream appeal and whatnot. Yeah, and like in those songs, he can still talk about important shit. Now, you have to wrap it up in a way that's palatable to the mainstream if the music is going to pop like that. So, like, it can't be the most, like, in-depth thing ever, like Auntie Diaries, which is never going to be a fucking radio song. Or a live music touring song either. But, like, they don't have to be. Drake fans remind me of Elon Musk fanboys. It's all about, having bigger numbers. Yeah, but I mean, number is bigger. Like, can you argue with that? Dumb. Kendrick's the only rapper to win a Pulitzer Prize too. Really? Interesting. I feel that's the only reason Mr. Morale didn't do as strong numbers wise. Yes, because like there were some poppier songs, like the one with the one and the one. I pop the pain away, I slide the pain away. That one. Song is good as hell. I forget when it comes up. This Father Time is good as fuck. The Sampha chorus is so good. Die Hard. Like, this is a radio-ass song. And it's a good one. N95 is good for the radio. Like, there's the radio songs on here, too. Because, like, you're a fool to not have them. But, I don't know. Culturally, I think it's hard to see Drake ever getting a song enshrined in the Library of Congress like they did with Tupac. Yeah. Is that it? Thank you, Kendrick, for making Drake rap again. What the fuck, you big stepping with a size 7 men on? Yeah, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. I feel like that's kind of the joke, though. Like, it's kind of the meme. Hey. I think Kendrick is aware of that. Can somebody tell Kendrick Lamar that he's short? I don't think he's getting the message. Is the closest you're getting to a feature is crazy, is it though? A lot of writing going on in these comments. Drake the type of guy to actually rap with effort only when his reputation is on the line. That's funny. Is this AI Drake gotta retire because this is better than anything I expected from him? I respect Drake on a whole new level. The writing is insane. I'm a Kendrick fan and this shit hard as fuck. I don't care who wrote it. The message got delivered. Are you insane? I don't know, dude. Like, we're not seeing the whole thing. Clearly. Because, like, this shit is not finished. But if it was finished, I don't know that it would have been that great. I don't know. Thank you very much, Aoife, for the raid. Hope you had a good stream. We're currently talking about dumbass bullshit. Toronto represent. I forgot you were a Canuck. Feels bad. They're not sending us their best. I can say that much. 410 needs more short jokes. That's true. I was expecting a short joke or two from Drake here. It's the obvious low-hanging fruit, so I'm glad he didn't really go for it too often. Anyway. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I've said what I need to say. I think what I need to say is pretty good. And it's very silly. That's all I can say, really. Cole is, like, completely out of the question. Wasn't feeling this track. It's kind of corny. Yeah, but I mean, in today's day and age, I feel like diss tracks generally are going to feel pretty corny because, like, it's just a different vibe now. Like I said before, like, rap beef, it's not the same. The inevitable march of time has continued forward, and rap beef just really isn't that important nowadays. Clearly, because not a lot of people are doing it. Nothing touches 90s diss tracks? Yeah. It's just a different moment. Yeah, back then people were killing each other. That's not to say that that was better, but I mean, it was different. I would not want people to be killing each other nowadays. Might be a bold take, but still are. Yeah, but you know, like the big ones. Like fucking Takeoff RIP got popped for some dumb bullshit. Like it wasn't even, I don't think it was like a beef. It was just like they were fucking playing cards or dice or whatever, and there was a disagreement. Which is an unfortunate way to go out, but I don't think it was rap beef. RIP Young Dolph. Yeah, there's definitely people still dying because of beef. But I mean, like, the bigger people out there. Because, like, back then, Pac and Biggie was, like, the thing. That was, like, the big rap beef of the time. And we know how that turned out. Mainstream, there's not a lot of legitimate street beef. Yeah, and that's probably for the better. All the rappers that get shot seem to get shot by people that are essentially school shooter types that just want the attention and notoriety. Maybe, yeah. I don't know. Guys that do have street ties like Chief Keef and Polo G don't talk about it. It's a different world we're living in. And I think it's a better one, frankly. Like, if this is the level of rap beef we're getting, it might not be as good for the content. But in my view, I don't need people killing each other to give me content. Like, I've got too much content. There is too much shit to watch. Like, if this is the level we're at for rap beef, like, it's just fun to talk about. We are not hurting for any kind of content. Anyway.